morning, class. Good morning, everybody. So, we welcome this session of Vairagya IS with some of the important facts and figures which make you to rise in your mains preparation. We will also discuss how to write good answer and how to make it exactly as it is needed. So, we discussed that how economy was being developed, how can the growth was estimated, how GDP, GNP and gross value added was estimated. Now in this class we will discuss about the human development indications, some factors which led to economic growth and development. So UNDP, that is United Nations Development Program, यूनाइटेड नेशंस को भी हम डिस्कस करेंगे बट इन दिस क्लास लेट अस फोकस ऑन दिस इंडिकेटर्स फर्स्ट. UNDP introduced Human Development Indicator in first Human Development Report prepared under Mehboob ul Haq, a Pakistani economist, and Amartya Sen, a renowned Nobel Prize winner economist of India. Under it, there were three prime indicators. Now you focus on these prime indicators that which lead to development of economics. First goes for the health, life expectancy at birth. After giving birth to a child, how much healthy is the condition of the child. Second is the education, that mean year of schooling for adults aged 25 years. That provides the mean year of schooling at least for 25 years of education he is having or not. That counts his education tenure, than expected year of schooling for children who is entering to school. Many a time we see many students who are going to school, they are school dropouts, they are not able to continue their schooling. Therefore, it also take into account the schooling entering age and leaving the school. Their last parameter is standard of living. It counts for the gross national income and per capita at purchasing power parity in terms of US dollar. So it also takes care of how much consumption a family is taking, how much standard of living it is having, how many things it is having to facilitate for the family. For example, schooling, medicines, daily needs, and food items. So these constitute the standard of living of a family, and this all together constitute the SDI index. SDI was asked in UPSC prelims also. Keep it in mind, it's very important. Now next thing what we see is inequality adjusted human development index. So what are inequalities, friends? Inequalities present at various levels. Inequality in the purchasing, inequality in salary, inequality in education, social standards, status, and poverty, inequality in gender, inequality in age, inequality in science and technology. So there are several types of inequality. But in the Human Development Index, we will discuss about those inequalities that account for inequalities in HDI dimensions, especially the education, standard of living, and life expectancy. So it aims for estimating the population at what level of development that population is having, and when there is no inequality across people but less than, the inequality rises. So SDI inequality is rising. As we saw, there is parity at different levels of society. Somewhere people are employed at massive level, but at village level, at suburbs, at slum levels, people are starving, and that led to existence of inequality. Next index is gender inequality index. What is inequality in gender? So gender is a concept of sexual dimension in which main component is male versus female. So GII reflects the woman disadvantage in three dimensions. It considers women who are suffering at reproductive age, which are giving birth to a child and which are having in a pregnancy period still lacking their life sustainability, and many women died after giving the birth. Many women died due to huge blood loss. So it considered three main factors. First dimension is reproduction or reproductive health, second empowerment, and third is the labor market. Keep in your mind is RH, E and L. It is short form reproductive health, empowerment of women, and the labor market. Now it ranges from 0 to 1. 0 means women and men as a fair equal. So 1 means inequality. When both are at 0 level, then both are considered to be equal in nature. दोनों 0 पे हैं तो दोनों समान हैं. They are provided equal facilities. But as any of the indices, whether it is labor, empowerment, or reproductive age, as its growth to 1, then it means there is inequality. Okay. Now next indicator is Gender Development Index, GDI. What it counts for? GDI measures the gender gap in human development achievement in three dimensions. First again is health, male and female health, and life expectancy by birth. So after the birth, how much age is the survival life? That is the expectancy at birth. Second factor is education, which provides education for the female and male candidates separately. So we see in developing countries like India and most of the African countries, we see women going to school after 12 or 14 years, they get drop out, they somehow get married, and there is no certain development chances in their life, due to which women development suffers. So gender development index caters and counters the problems of female literacy. Keep it in your mind. Female literacy, female development, female empowerment, and women empowerment are the core concern. It raises concern for the education of women, it raises the health concern, and lastly it command over the economic resources which are needed for the women empowerment. ओ वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट के लिए कौन से संसाधन चाहिए होंगे, बताइए बच्चों. You will need the resources of proper medicines during the periodic cycle, during their reproductive age. Are you getting it? You will need certain education of sexual life in terms of better education. Further, you will need maternity education and also population education in terms of contraceptive, use of condoms and other contraceptive devices. So in this way, these three parameters constitute the gender development index. Moving ahead, now we will look at very important index. So gross national happiness index, where it come into effect. So Bhutan's king Jigme Siang Wangchuk in 1972, in the time of Indira Gandhi government in India, 1972. And what was 72? 72 was India was having war with Pakistan on the front of West Bengal. So Bengal Liberation War was going on with Pakistan in India. In the same period, Bhutan's king Jigme Siang Wangchuk gave his attempt to indicate the quality of life and social progress in more holistic and psychological terms. यानी कि भूटान के जो राजा हैं, दैट अगेन अ किंग, वो क्या कह रहे हैं कि जो मेजरमेंट है मनुष्य के विकास का, वो जीडीपी, जीवीए या जीपीपी से नहीं देखी जानी चाहिए, बल्कि इट इज़ डिपेंडेंट ऑन द फैक्टर्स विच मेक अ मैन और वुमेन हैप्पी, दैट कंस्टिट्यूट हैप्पीनेस ऑफ लाइफ. So gross national happiness value is proposed to be an index function of total average per capita of the measures, which measures is constitute economic well-being. ठीक है, आर्थिक सुदृढ़ता कितनी है पर कैपिटा, and it is a ratio. इकोनॉमिक वेलबींग टू पर कैपिटा इनकम, और इन्वायरमेंटल वेलबींग, जहाँ पर रह रहे हैं वो पोल्यूशन फ्री इन्वायरमेंट होना चाहिए, एंड इट इज़ स्टेट ऑफ मेंटल वेलबींग to the per capita income. It is also physical well-being, your disease-free life living, and also the social well-being and the political well-being. So these six factors mostly constitute the gross national happiness of a country. That country is progressing, developing, and growing. But whether the population of such country is happy and happily living or not, that is the matter of this index. Next index is the genuine progressive indicator. GPI is a concept of green economics and welfare of economics. What is welfare economics? So this is socialist model of economy, what we see in our constitution, provided through the directive principles of state policy, which makes India a welfare nation. Under Article 38, we see DPSP providing the GPI, that is genuine progress indicator. So at global level it was launched by United States, providing the GPI attempting to measure the country's production of goods, expanding services, and facilitating the improvement of welfare of people of a country. So facilitation of health, quality of life, and penetration of goods and services in a country is providing through the genuine progress indication. Now let us look at some of the factors of genuine progress indicator. It measures the social progress in terms of education, that vulnerable section and the deprived sections of society are getting higher education or not, and they are having school penetration or not, they are having the services of higher education, loan availability and facilitation at the commuting of education, they are having the medicines or not, they are having banking facilities, they are having good food, whether they are having good economic contribution, they have purchasing parity or not, whether they are having development factors, employability and reduction of poverty, whether they are having food, reduction of hunger, whether they are prevented from pollution of air, noise, water, soil, ground, such kind of pollution measures, whether they are getting hygienic drinking water, whether they are getting facilities for travel and transport, buses and trains, and whether they are getting personal pollution protection and the insurance from the government. So these all factors constitute the genuine progress indicator. What does it mean? That is it genuine or not? A country is being developed, it is growing, which is shown at the different industrial level. What we see, a growth or progress seen at the industrial production and consumption. कंट्री ग्रो कर रही है जब उसका प्रोडक्शन बढ़ रहा है और उसके प्रोडक्ट्स मार्केट में कंज्यूम किए जा रहे हैं, एंड दैट लीड टू राइज ऑफ जीडीपी, and in terms of government expenditure is being made at what level. So when it comes to the genuinity, the original parameters of development, then it is called as genuine progress indicator. Why I am emphasizing on this topic? Because अभी तक यूपीएससी ने पूछा नहीं है किसी भी एग्जाम में, so it can be predicted that ये पूछा जा सकता है. Now next point is multidimensional poverty index, MDPI. What is multidimensional poverty? Poverty constituting through the Oxford University report that Human Development Initiative under UNDP, United Nations Development Program, providing three basic dimensions of human development index, such as क्या है तीन dimension? Three dimensions of human development index is health, education and standard of living. You should keep it in your mind. So dimensions and their 10 indicators lies in the health service. हेल्थ में हम क्या देखते हैं? चाइल्ड मोर्टेलिटी अंडर व्हाट सर्कमस्टेंसेस, न्यूट्रिशन इज मेड फॉर द चाइल्ड और नॉट, बच्चों की चाइल्ड मोर्टेलिटी रेट कम है या ज़्यादा है, बच्चों को न्यूट्रिशन अच्छे से मिल रहा है, वेदर दे आर गेटिंग फूड एंड बेसिक विटामिन्स एंड मिनरल्स. सो भारत सरकार ने पोषण योजना लॉन्च की है जो हम आगे देखेंगे. एंड फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट भी इंडिया में मौजूद है. डीपीएसपी के द्वारा डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी भी इसे प्रोवाइड करती है. देयर शुड बी मिनिमम न्यूट्रिशन थ्रू द गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी. सो दिस थ्री पैरामीटर्स इंक्लूड हेल्थ, एजुकेशन एंड लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड. हेल्थ में हमने देखा चाइल्ड मोर्टेलिटी एंड न्यूट्रिशन. एजुकेशन में हम देख रहे हैं मिनिमम ईयर्स ऑफ स्कूलिंग, चिल्ड्रन enrolled in school and whether they are minimum going to school at 25 years not 15 years. Keep it in your mind. याद रखेंगे 25 years तक स्कूल जा रहे हैं या नहीं. And living standard of children, cooking fuel, sanitation, वाटर, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, फ्लोर एंड एसिड्स है कि नहीं उनके पास, एलपीजी गैस मौजूद है कि नहीं, इलेक्ट्रिक पावर से उनके पास कुकिंग हो रही है या नहीं, वेदर दे आर लैकिंग इन सैनिटेशन, तो उनके पास हाइजीनिक लाइफ के लिए सैनिटेशन मौजूद है, टॉयलेट्स मौजूद हैं, बाथरूम फैसिलिटी भी है उनके पास, whether they are having clean water of drinking or not, whether they are having electricity or not, whether they are having floor, whether they are having acids or not. So acids are the movables and immovable items. एसेट्स में कौन सी चीज़ें होती हैं? उनका घर हो गया, हाउस होगी, स्कूल हो गई, बुक्स हो गई, व्हीकल हो गई, साइकिल हो गई. दिस ऑल आर एसेट्स. एंड व्हाट आर लाइबिलिटीज ऑन विच एक्सपेंडिचर इज बीइंग मेड. सो उनके पास एसेट्स होने चाहिए. दैट इज द पैरामीटर. सो each dimension in each indicator is equally weighted in the indication of poverty index. Now let us see on a graph version of the poverty index. So multidimensional poverty index by UNDP constitute three main dimensions that are core. Core dimensions में health, education and living standard. Why it is health? Because health estimate the estimation of nutrition and child mortality that constitute healthy life, child mortality and disease free living, under which it is 1 out of 6. You see. Second is the education. Year of schooling is 1 out of 6. Third is school of attendance. So attendance school is 1 out of 6. Then living standard is there. Living standard constitute cooking fuel. Living standard constitute sanitation for healthy life. Living standard include drinking water. Living standard has electricity, housing and assets. Now ये 6 parameters are constituted under the living standard of people. और पहले वाले स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ एजुकेशन, यहाँ पे स्कूलिंग हो रही है अप टू 25 ईयर्स ऑफ एज एंड स्कूल अटेंडेंस हो रहे हैं, मतलब केवल एडमिशन या इनरोलमेंट नहीं, स्कूल जा रहे हैं बच्चे और पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं या नहीं. दैट कंस्टिट्यूट द फैक्टर ऑफ स्कूल अटेंडेंस. Then comes the child mortality and nutrition under the factor of health. Now you to keep in mind and make a notes out of it. Let us go ahead and look into the Other measure, that is global hunger index. What is this index, friends? The global hunger index designed the measurement and track globally country wise the standard of hunger, how much people are not having food to eat, they are dying out of hunger. So it is also taking consideration of four factors, that is undernutrition, child wasting, child stunting and child mortality. It is calculated by IFPRI, that is International Food Policy Research Institute. Okay, Global Hunger Index by IFPRI. फर्स्ट released 2006 में फर्स्ट टाइम रिलीज हुआ. विच पैरामीटर्स? फोर पैरामीटर्स: अंडर न्यूट्रिशन, चाइल्ड वेस्टिंग, child stunting, child mortality. So it sees in a newspaper that global hunger index at some countries is in alarming level. Hmm. So hunger index in Belarus is first also in Bosnia and Herzegovina. You see, these are European countries, and still there is such hunger index which leads to child stunting, wasting, mortality. Hmm? And these are European nations. This is a shocking parameter. Also, the country of Brazil lies at third position. Fourth is Chile. Fifth is China. How you see, China is claiming that it is the most developed country, but it is first at the global hunger index. Then comes fifth Nepal, then Bangladesh, Pakistan. Eighth rank is India. So India has been at 100 first position of global hunger index because it has corrected child wasting, it has corrected undernutrition through Poshan scheme and Food Security Act. There is provision to every house, food minimum food to every house. There is health measures for every children living in a village through Anganwadi workers and midwives. So these are facilities provided under Government of India. India's rank has been seen over a time on this graph. So earlier in 2016 we saw it was 97 and now it is falling. So falling rank shows it is a good indicator. Although in 2020 it has rise to 94th position, but it is declined to 101st position at global ranking. Now next, green gross domestic product, one of the new concept in the UPSC syllabus, what we study in the budget and economic survey also. Gross domestic product, what we see as consumption, income and government expenditure plus export minus import leads to gross domestic product composition within an economy. So green GDP is an index of economic growth which environmental consequences of the growth factor are considered. So if economy is making consumption, investment and expenditures, that how much threat to the environment it has made, how much damage is it led to environment. So considering the environmental concern, the United Nations Environment Program has launched this and it has put forth under the green GDP that how much production is made, how much expenditure is made in production of environment and under the GDP parameters. So green GDP monetizes the loss of biodiversity and accounts for the cost caused by climate change. You see, two factors: biodiversity loss and climate change. Remember these two factors. So it indicates the per capita carbon dioxide emission per year, indicated by per capita carbon dioxide emission. That means per person CO2 emission in a year. Now what are the government initiative to cater this challenge or to raise the GDP, green GDP index? So government of India has Moving forward to achieve the climate goals, it has put forth the Green Credit Program to be launched to incentivize standard sustainable actions. So there are sustainable development goals, which means production and consumption in a sustainable manner. What is a sustainable manner? Sustainability aims to decrease the damage to the environment. Second is the PM Pranam scheme. That means Pradhan Mantri direction of the promotion of alternative fertilizers, in which use of organic farming, zero budget natural farming, and use of manures has been introduced. Then is third the 500 new waste to wealth plants to be established under Govardhan scheme. So waste is Govardhan, that is cow dung. So cow dung to be utilized as a cow dung cake as a fuel, गोबर गैस या गोवर्धन से गोवर्धन योजना लागू करने की प्रोविज़न डाली गई है और जो चालू हो चुकी है. So there is cow dung as a fuel and cow waste LPG. Now Mishti scheme is also there, which is to be taken under the mangrove plantation along the coastline, that is mangrove are seen in the Sundarbans area. आप कहाँ देखते हैं mangroves? So you find the mangrove trees near the Sundarban area of West Bengal. There is huge mangroves. Mangroves are the preservers of biodiversity. Fifth is Amrit Dharohar. Amrit Dharohar में क्या है? It is implemented over next 3 years to optimal use of wetland. So wetland की optimal use करती है अमृत धरोहर. Wetlands कैसे हैं? जहाँ पे रामसर साइट्स है. So 26 maybe 29 wetlands are presently in India. तो उन wetlands को प्रोटेक्ट करना और उनके अंदर जो बायोडाइवर्सिटी ग्रो हो रही है उनको भी प्रिजर्वेशन करना. That is also these 5 programs has been made by Government of India under the budgetary framework that adds to green GDP persistency. Keep it in mind and make notes. It can be asked. Now what is sustainable development goal? Sustainable development goal was put forward under September 2015. World leaders adopted that under 2030 agenda for sustainable development, which include a set of 17 sustainable development goals: end poverty, fight inequality and injustice, and tackle the climate change by 2030. SDG aims to end inequality and do sustainable development, provide justice to people, and tackle the climate change by 2030. So 17 targets डाले गए हैं यूनाइटेड नेशंस के द्वारा. संयुक्त राष्ट्र संघ के द्वारा ये 17 टारगेट डाले गए हैं जिसे यूनाइटेड नेशन सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल कहा गया है. नाउ लेट अस हैव अ लुक ओवर दिस 17 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स. So first goal of UN SDG is zero poverty. कहीं पूरी तरह से गरीबी का उन्मूलन, poverty elimination, zero poverty. Second is zero hunger, that is to eradicate child mortality, child wasting and child malnutrition. Third is good health, which acts for providing the health condition of women and children and vulnerable peoples. Fourth is the quality of education, ensuring 25 years of minimum schooling and schooling with libraries and good establishments. Fifth is the gender equality, providing equal in male female education, providing male female sustainable development. Sixth provision is for clean water and sanitation. So clean, hygienic water for drinking, which is not available in many African nations and also in many villages across India. So that is provided. Clean water and sanitation. इसमें toilet building and clean toilets are there. Swachh Bharat mission is there. Then seventh is the clean energy. That means green energy free from pollution, reducing CO2 emission and greenhouse gas reduction through reducing thermal power plant and switching to the renewable sources. Good jobs and economic growth is the eighth target, which provides job and employment for the needy people. Ninth is the innovation and infrastructure, which is the innovative measures for the development, inventions, and making discoveries. So, inventions are to be made through scientific approaches and engineering turnout. Tenth is the reduced inequality. So, it is to be reduced in terms of different social parameters. Inequalities social parameters पे reduce होनी चाहिए. 11th is the sustainable cities and the commuters. So we saw the development of smart cities by government of India. 11th is the responsible consumption. That means sustainable consumption do not lead to consumerism. Also protection from commodity fetishism. कंज्यूमरिज्म से हमें बचना है और सस्टेनेबल कंजम्पशन करना है. You should buy only those goods which are necessary. Then 13 is the protection of the planet. Planet should be protected. Its ocean, wildlife, atmosphere, even space debris. जो हम देखते हैं ना कि स्पेस में सैटेलाइट्स बहुत सारे जमा हो गए हैं जिनसे स्पेस डेब्रीज बन गए हैं, उनको भी रिड्यूस करना है. 14 इज़ द लाइफ बिलो वाटर. सो अंडर वाटर लाइफ इज़ द 14 टारगेट. 15 इज़ द लाइफ एबोव लैंड रिडक्शन ऑफ पोल्यूशन. अंडर वाटर लाइफ में जो शेल्स होते हैं, कोरल रीफ्स होते हैं, फिशेस हैं, उनको भी बचाना है. लाइफ एबव लैंड attempts to protect the green cover, biodiversity. 16th, peace and justice. Live in harmony between different communities and create environment of justice for overall development. 17 is the partnership for the goals. Partnership within different countries to meet their goals. Of all this 16 and 17th, so there is holistic measurement and meeting of these goals. Let us see in more detail that first goal acts at the ending of poverty in all its forms everywhere. So how these goals are acting? United Nations Sustainable Development Goals aims to end poverty in all forms, whether it is malnutrition, hunger. So second goal is the hunger, which achieves food security and improve the nutrition and promotes sustainable agriculture. It reduces hunger and promotes sustainable agriculture. That agriculture should be using less fertilizers, using organic farming, and also do not exploit or cutting of trees should be prohibited. Third is ensuring healthy life and promote well-being of all at all ages. Ensuring healthy life, which means health parameters of children and women, at different levels should be preserved. Fourth, ensures the inclusivity and equitable quality of education and promote lifelong learning opportunity for all. So quality education, 25 years of age minimum schooling, कम से कम 25 साल तक सभी लोगों को शिक्षा पानी है. And fifth is the achievement of gender equality and empower all women girls. Empowering all women and girls, whether they are in village, cities, African nations, or anywhere. Sixth is the ensuring availability of sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, which ensures management of water, good water and sanitation. So there is need for clean drinking water to be provided. So government of India has adopted a program Har Ghar Nal Ka Jal. Hmm. Then there is ensure access of affordable, reliable, sustainable, modern energy for all. It provides source of modern energy and modern energy in terms of solar, wind, and OTEC, nuclear energy, and so on. Eighth goal is to promote the sustainable, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. That means the employability and opportunity of employment should be increased at different levels to improve the decency in the work culture. Ninth, being a resilient in infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and foster innovation. So, industrialization should be keeping environmental concern in its mind. Okay, so forest should be preserved. 10th, aims for reduction of inequality within and among the countries, inequality at different levels, social, economic, and monetary levels. 11th, aims for the cities and human settlement inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. 12th, ensures the sustainability consumption and production patterns through industrial framework. 13th, aims at urgent action to combat the climate change and its impact. Combating climate change and impact on the human, that is diseases and severe acute respiratory syndromes due to climate change and pollution. 14th, aims for sustainable use of ocean, seas, marine resources for sustainable development. Ocean resources should be sustainably used. 15th, aims for protection and restoration and promotion of sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystem, sustainable management, forest combat, desertification, half the river's land and degradation, half the biodiversity loss. So it aims at larger climate benefit and preservation of biodiversities. 16th goal aims to promote peaceful and inclusive coexistence in society for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels to have a harmonious society in peaceful living. 17th, strengthens the means of implementation of revitalized global partnership for sustainable development. Now let us move ahead to the concept of economic planning in India, how economics has been developed in India in post-independence period. So economics has been developed at different levels through the planning and methodology. So before independence, we will also see there were sort of planning at different levels. So before independence, We saw that planning became a path to take certain actions by government bodies for investing money and have policy measures for consciously and judicious use of resources and optimal utilization to fulfill some well defined economic goals. So there was a British government aims for exploitation of economy of India, exploitation of resources of India. Dada Bhai Nauroji famously quoted in his Drain of Wealth, and also R.C. Datta quoted in his famous book. So these books shows that how Britishers try to plunder, loot, and what not to be done in the Indian exploitation of resources. And now the history itself proves that what were being done. So we saw there were certain measures of railway lines set up, setting of roadways and modes of transport and communication. There were use of telegram that introduced faster communication, but all things aims to provide fuel to the developing British economy after industrial revolution. Okay, which was establishing heavy factories and heavy plantations were established in the Britain for which they need raw materials and which they were exploiting out of India through a planned and systematic manner. So that is a part of history, but let us go in economics. That M. Visvesvaraya in 1934 in his book gave the concept of planned economy of planning a country in terms of budget and estimation of the development before the independence of India. So there is a picture shows a charkha. Charkha is a symbol of independence and सेल्फ esteem. स्वाभिमान का प्रतीक है हमारा चरखा, which was taught by Gandhi ji that the cloth which was being bought or imported from British and big mills should be created at household. चरखे पे आप धागा बना सकते हैं, and after creating that thread you can make your own cloth, proving that you are self sustainable, you are yourself self enriched, you have your tool or means. In terms of Karl Marx, you have your force or a device to create your clothing to protect your body, and you don't need to buy it from any British company. So Charkha is showing a moving economic system and symbol of self-esteem. Moving ahead, in 1944, so first 1935 Vishwesvaraya plan was there. 1944 Bombay plan was made by some leaders, and S.N. Agrawal was the main person who put forth the Bombay plan in 1944, leading to 8 industrialists in Bombay. So there was a core meeting of 8 industrialists who proposed there should be a holistic growth and development, leading to rise in economic sector and setup of new industries in India. That plan was called as Bombay Plan. Who led it? It was led by S.N. Agrawal. Now next plan is 1944 planning development, and there was establishment of प्लानिंग डेवलपमेंट काउंसिल. याद रखिए 1944 में ही नई काउंसिल बन गई. इसका नाम है प्लानिंग डेवलपमेंट काउंसिल, एंड इट वाज सेट अप अंडर चेयरमैनशिप ऑफ ए दलाल. सो जैसे ही बॉम्बे प्लान फॉर्मुलेट हुआ, another member of Congress, A. Dalal, put forth the Planning Development Council, and this was called as the core planning objective for industrial development. So, People's Plan also drafted in 1945. M.N. Roy, a famous communist leader, जिन्होंने पहली बार प्लानिंग कमेटी की बात की, and he also aims for the constitutional committee to draft a constitution of India. So he planned a people's plan based on the model of socialism. याद रखिए, सोशलिज्म का ये मॉडल था, first in the Indian history by M.N. Roy. Then comes the 1946 interim government set up planning advisory board. अब यहाँ पे constituent assembly बन चुकी है, constitution का निर्माण होना शुरू हो चुका है, तो उसके अंतर्गत क्या बनी? प्लानिंग एडवाइजरी बॉडी, पैब बन गई है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन असेंबली के अंतर्गत. एंड नाउ दिस बॉडी इज मेकिंग द प्लानिंग मेजर्स फॉर द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया. Then comes 1947. The Economic Program Committee was set up under the chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru. नेहरू जी के प्लान के अनुसार इकोनॉमिक प्लानिंग कमेटी बन गई है 1947. इंडिया गॉट हर इंडिपेंडेंस. 15 अगस्त को भारत को आज़ादी मिल चुकी है. और क्या बनी है? इकोनॉमिक प्रोग्राम कमेटी बन गई है, ईपीसी, बाई पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू. In 1950 comes Planning Commission, first Planning Commission, a formal body, non-statutory, non-exclusive body. Planning Commission put forward its first plan of development. Planning Commission came into force in 1950. What was the first plan? To look into the agriculture measures to cater the hunger and avail the nutrition throughout the country. So nutrition और hunger mitigation के लिए planning committee बन चुकी है. Now let us also discuss some more factors of Planning Commission of India. So Planning Commission established in 1950 under Article 38 and 39 of DPSP, which makes a welfare state. इंडिया को क्या बना रहा है? कल्याणकारी राज्य. To do the welfare of its citizen and people, and directive principle of state policy headed by the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. So Commission of Independent Cabinet put forward the policy and some measures that leads to economic planning. So there were some flaws and bottleneck which Planning Commission cannot cater. तो ये क्या हो गया? क्रिटिसिज्म हो गया प्लानिंग कमीशन के. सो ग्रोथ ऑफ अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट, बेरोजगारी बढ़ते जा रही थी. सेकंड, पुअर लेवल ऑफ इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, जो प्रोग्राम्स थे उनके प्रॉपर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं हो पा रहे थे. थर्ड वाज इनएडिक्वेट ग्रोथ ऑफ प्रोडक्शन सेक्टर. प्रोडक्शन सेक्टर का प्रॉपरली ग्रोथ नहीं हो रहा था इन टर्म्स ऑफ रीजनल डेवलपमेंट एंड डेवलपमेंट अकॉर्डिंग टू रिसोर्सेज. फॉर एग्जांपल, स्टेट ऑफ मध्य प्रदेश later from Chhattisgarh, so most of the resources were in that area, still it was most underdeveloped. Similarly, part of Bihar that later become Jharkhand still lacks in the sustainable use of resources and adequate development. These were the failures of Planning Commission. Fourth is the growing deceit of balance of payment. Balance of payment घटते जा रहा था because of constraining war with Pakistan, China, and emergency condition, death of Indira Gandhi, and reduction in India's manufacturing goods. Fifth goes for inequality in the distribution of income and wealth. So जो भी income हो रही थी एक particular sector को हो रही थी और wealth भी वैसे ही deprived थे. Next comes for rise in price level. Inflation was constantly rising. This factor leads to decline in the planning policies of India. So let us see how the planning policies goes ahead First was the Harrod-Domer model. सो इकोनॉमिक्स पॉलिसी होने के पहले एक फिलॉसफी होती थी कि what should be the strategy to determine the planning structure and what measures should be taken so that there should be a consistent 5 year plan and उसमें वो टारगेट्स फुलफिल कर लिया जाए. So Harrod-Domer model was based on British economist Harrod-Domer, which put forward the capital accumulation in dual character. So इस मॉडल ने क्या कहा कि पहले इंडिया शुड स्टोर मोर कैपिटल, मोर मनी. तो इन्वेस्टमेंट करने से पहले इंडियन बैंक के पास और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के पास पैसा होना चाहिए, बिकॉज ब्रिटिश प्लंडर्स इंडियन मनी एंड टेक बैक टू इंग्लैंड. सो भारत का खजाना खाली था, उसको भरने के लिए पहले मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी होनी चाहिए, देन प्रोडक्शन पॉलिसी शुड बी देयर सो दैट इंडियन डोमेस्टिक इंडस्ट्रीज प्रोडक्शन कर सकें अच्छे से, एंड वी शुड फोकस ऑन दी सेविंग्स. सेविंग पे ध्यान होना चाहिए और एग्रीकल्चरल डेवलपमेंट पे ध्यान होना चाहिए. ओके, so that aims to the rise of saving and capital output ratio. जितना इन्वेस्टमेंट हो उससे गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर्स में आउटपुट मिल सके. यानी कि रेलवे में अगर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चरल इन्वेस्टमेंट हो रहा है तो रेलवे शुड गिव अस अ प्रॉफिट ऑफ सर्टेन लेवल, रोडवेज शुड गिव द प्रॉफिट ऑफ सर्टेन लेवल. सिमिलरली whether it is scientific organization or any of the sector that should provide profit to the government bodies and should generate a capital. Second plan comes in the model of Nehru Mahalanobis, P.C. Mahalanobis, a famous statistician of that time, gave his फॉर्मली इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन ऑफ रैपिड इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट. उन्होंने बोला कि सेविंग करने से और कैपिटल जमा करने से ग्रोथ नहीं होगा, बल्कि वी नीड टू इन्वेस्ट इन रैपिड इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन. तेजी से आर्थिक विकास करने के लिए हमें काम करना है. ऑब्जेक्टिव वाज बिकमिंग सेल्फ रिलायंट एंड कैपिटल कंस्ट्रेनिंग. सो ये स्ट्रेटजी क्या बन गई, एडॉप्ट कर ली गई सेकेंड 5 ईयर प्लान में. सेकेंड द्वितीय पंचवर्षीय योजना जो कि 1956 से 61 तक चली, ने देखा कि BHEL, टिस्को, नवरत्ना कंपनीज है ना, थर्मल पावर प्लांट, ऑयल रिफाइनरीज, फर्टिलाइजर्स इंडस्ट्रीज, ऐसे हेवी इंडस्ट्रीज का इस्टेब्लिशमेंट किया गया ताकि हमारा ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा रैपिड इंडस्ट्रियल ग्रोथ हो सके एंड वी कैन मीट द ग्लोबल लेवल ऑफ डेवलपमेंट. तो सेल, भेल है ना, टिस्को, टाटा आयरन एंड स्टील कंपनी, ऑयल रिफाइनरीज, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी पावर प्लांट्स, दिस ऑल आर सीन ड्यूरिंग दिस पीरियड. उसके बीच में क्या आ गई, एक गांधीयन स्ट्रेटजी आ गई, सोशल वेलफेयर एट द लोएस्ट लेवल. सो गांधीयन स्ट्रेटजी क्या कहती है, बॉटम अप अप्रोच. पहले विलेज को, गाँव को हम सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट करते हैं जिससे कि ये विकास ऊपर की तरफ बढ़ेगा. स्लोली स्लोली इट विल ग्रो टुवर्ड द सिटीज एंड डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द कंट्री. तो पहले हमें विलेज को सत्याग्रह दिया, चरखा, सेल्फ सस्टेनेबिलिटी. फिर विलेज को ट्रूथ एंड जस्टिस के हिसाब से कि सोशल सेक्टर्स पे फोकस हो, वुमेन एम्प्लॉयमेंट हो, वल्नरेबल सेक्शंस पे फोकस हो, SC STs के लिए पॉलिसीज़ हो, सर्वोदया इन टर्म्स ऑफ वल्नरेबल सेक्शंस, दलित्स एंड हरिजन सेक्शंस के लिए विकास की बात हो, स्वराज एज ए टूल ऑफ सेल्फ गवर्नेंस इन विलेज लेवल. तो गांधी जी क्या बात करते हैं, सेल्फ गवर्नेंस एट विलेज लेवल, कि विलेज का सरपंच ही अपनी पॉलिसी बनाए, फाइनेंशियल पॉलिसी बनाए और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट उसको फंडिंग करे. देन कम्स द ट्रस्टीशिप एंड लास्ट इज द स्वदेशी, यूज्ड ऑफ स्वदेशी एंड डोमेस्टिक आइटम्स, जिसमें अगेन चरखा बिकम्स अ टूल and jute Indian industry comes. So Acharya Sriman Narayan Agrawal in his Gandhian plan in 1944 says that the basic objective of Gandhian model is to raise the materials as well as the cultural level of masses so as to provide a basic standard of life. Basic standard of living को बढ़ावा दिया जा सके and overall social development हो सके. So it also aims for khadi and cottage industry, cottage and village industry, KVIC का ग्रोथ हुआ, खादी ग्रामोद्योग का उदय हुआ, महिलाओं के द्वारा हथकरघा उद्योग, लिज्जत पापड़. सो ऐसे करके विलेज बेस्ड डेवलपमेंट हो जिससे ओवरऑल इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट सस्टेनेबल रूप से देखने को मिले. सो इन दिस session we discussed various modes indices of economic development. और हमने क्या देखा? We saw at the some of the planning methodology. Now you see some of the questions asked by UPSC and other exams. Explain the UN Sustainable Development Goal and its penetration in developing countries. Next question, examine the development of India on the basis of various indices. ये क्वेश्चन ऐसे ही पूछ सकता है यूपीएससी कि एग्जामाइन द parameters of indices under which India shows its progress and development. Then estimate and exemplify the planning philosophy of India. भारत के विकास के लिए कैसी इकोनॉमिक फिलॉसफी सोची गई by several thinkers and social reformers of that time. ठीक है. सो कंसीडर लास्ट क्वेश्चन. हम एक क्वेश्चन डिस्कस करते हैं कि कैसे आप आंसर राइटिंग करोगे. सो इन ऑर्डर टू राइट अ ब्यूटीफुल आंसर you need to have beautiful concept and facts, figures and content. तो थर्ड क्वेश्चन को हम देखते हैं. What were the philosophies behind India's economic development? So इंट्रोडक्शन में आप लिख सकते हैं कि इंडिया during the period of independence was suffering through starvation and hunger. Of whose mitigation the agricultural policies was needed, for which Harrod-Domer model was implemented. क्या आ गया? HD मॉडल implemented. Now अब कनेक्ट करते हुए इसकी बॉडी आप क्या डालेंगे? Although Harrod-Domer model model cannot prove its worth in course of 5 years. That led to rethinking about the Gandhian philosophy of social development, which was given by Heman Agrawal and which leads to creation of the sustainable model, and later which converges to Nehru Mahalanobis model of economic development. नाउ यहाँ पे आप कुछ फैक्ट्स डाल दो, किस किस बुक राइटर ने क्या डिटेल्स डाली हैं, आरसी दत्त ने क्या लिखा, दादा भाई नौरोजी के फैक्ट्स, तो आप एस्टिमेट कर पाओगे, सब्सटेंशिएट कर पाओगे अपने आंसर को इन सब डायमेंशंस में. फिर और सब डायमेंशन आप क्या ऐड करेंगे, पॉवर्टी, सोशल इनइक्वालिटी, वुमेन, harassment and vulnerable sections, SCs, STs, हरिजन्स, all were depriving. सो इनके लिए एक होलिस्टिक प्लान लाया गया और इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को आगे ले जाया गया. थोड़ा सा एलेबरेट करते हुए जस्टिफाई योर पॉइंट्स, देन कंक्लूजन. आर यू गेटिंग? सो इन दिस वे यू कैन स्ट्रक्चराइज योर आंसर इन डिफरेंट सब लेवल्स. ओके, टॉपिक, subtopic, then add some dimensions, analyze this dimension and subdimensions. आंसर राइटिंग टेस्ट सीरीज में जो आप लाखों रुपए वेस्ट करते हो, यू कैन सी ऑन माई चैनल. आई विल प्रोवाइड इट फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. यू कैन पुट इट ऑन माई चैनल t.me/gsrevolt on telegram, and I can give you free advice. So I hope that this lecture aims to help your life and makes you aware about various dimensions of economy, and it is relevant and current oriented. So keep your notes, keep revise and memorize it. Thank you and have a nice day.